pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Katie, will you hit us with the roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Blakely.
Here.
Chairman Bradley.
Present.
Commissioner Howley let us know that she will not be in attendance. Commissioner Hine.
Here.
Commissioner Mobley.
Here.
Vice Chair Seitz.
Here.
And Commissioner Wells also will not be in attendance tonight.
Okay. Next thing on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. Is there any discussion or questions? If not, then I'm willing to hear any kind of motion for approval.
I make the motion, Mr. Chair, that we approve the minutes of our meeting from March 22nd as prepared.
Second.
Do we need a voice vote or roll
We
call?
can do a voice vote, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
At this time, we're going to open up the floor for oral comments from the public. Members of the public may be heard on any item of interest that are not on the agenda. Speakers addressing the commission will only be limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and be advised that by law, the commission is not able to deliberate or take action on issues presented during the oral comments. And we have one person in the audience, so. Well, is it something that's not on the agenda?
No, it's on the agenda.
Okay, this is for things not on the agenda. Thank you.
I have a question about our public input. Are we still looking with the city to have some sort of virtual portion to this also, or virtual?
Yes.
But it's not up and running yet, right?
It is not up and running
And
yet.
that would be for the city council as well, that, I mean,
Yes.
they haven't been able to do it either.
We don't have the hardware.
Yeah, so the city clerk is working on getting the hardware and infrastructure in place. So that's definitely, in active development. And yeah, it's, when the council is able to go on, use that, that method, then we will as well.
Thanks. I'm only curious because you guys had talked about it before, so thanks.
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to it.
Well, being that we have nobody in the audience outside of one of our petitioners, I guess I'm willing to entertain the motion.
Motion to close
Thank
public
you.
comment.
Second.
I don't think we need to vote on that, correct? So our next item on the business side is item number 1. It's a continued public hearing to consider the design review of a new hydrogen fuel station, which is including elevations, colors, landscaping, and signage. The subject to the design review of a new hydrogen fuel station, including elevations, colors, landscaping, and signage. The applicant is A&S Engineering / Power Tap, and the APN is 200-363-043. The address is 1791 Riverwalk Drive. Zoning is Freeway Commercial FC. And this agenda item will be open, but it's to be continued to the May 10th Planning Commission meeting. So is there any discussion or questions to staff?
No, I'm sorry, you mentioned, I was, doing my
That's fine.
PowerPoint, but yes, so this would be opened and then continued to the May 10th Planning Commission meeting. It was agendized, and then the applicant requested it be postponed or continued, so this way, we don't have to do the cost of noticing.
So do we need a motion on this to continue it? Or is it just a matter of FYI for us?
No, it would be opened and then continued.
Okay, so.
I have a question, if it's okay. So we're going to take this up again on May 10th, correct?
Yes,
And so are we going to be meeting as a planning commission the second time this month
we are not,
in regular session?
no.
No, okay. And how come? No business?
There's
to
no
address?
business, right, and just a staffing issue, and there's no, so this was continued at their request, and then May 10th is the next available meeting.
Perfect,
And
thank
we
you.
have no other projects that are in line until May
Thanks.
10th. That's just how things are working out, so.
There is a committee meeting though on the 19th, is that true?
Correct, but that's not a standard
Yeah.
meeting. It'd be
Right.
in the afternoon, I think at 2 or
Yeah.
3? 2?
Planning Commission special meeting.
But that'll be under our new business, so. Is there any other questions that we need to entertain at this time then? So we just need a motion then to table this and reopen it again on the 10th of May?
Yes.
Okay.
I move that we table this and address it on May 10th at our regular meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call vote. Commissioner Blakely.
Yes.
Chairman Bradley.
Yes.
Commissioner Kine.
Yes.
Commissioner Mobley.
Yes.
And Vice Chair Sides.
Yes.
Our second item on our business tonight is the public hearing to consider a recommendation to the city council to amend the Fortuna zoning map from residential single-family R-1-6 to a residential multifamily R-M as in Mary. And the general plan land use designation from residential low RL to residential medium RM for parcels APN 040-043-021, which is 809 12th Street, and APN 040-043-016, 806 13th Street. Our applicant is Tyler Franklin, and the APN numbers were already read into the records. The project sites are going to be 806 13th Street, 809 12th Street, and the zoning is R-1-6. Liz, do you have anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, I can give the brief staff report. So, yeah, thank you, Commissioners, Chairman Bradley. So the applicant is requesting a rezone at 809 12th Street, and then we're also including 806 the applicant's property is 806 13th Street, and then we're also including 809 12th Street in the rezone application. And for consistency, the general plan would also need an amendment from residential low to residential medium. Oh, and the rezone is for R-16 residential single family to residential multifamily. So it's a zone, it's two actions. They're both included in the motion and the resolution. The zoning and then the general plan is for the broader land use designation, and it needs to be consistent with, the zoning needs to be consistent with the general plan. So those often get changed together. So the location is, you have these exhibits in your packet that you've looked at. The location is shown in yellow, so this is the broader citywide map, and for context, and you can see that the location is on the north side of N Street, and that is one block north of Main Street, and then the two streets that bound each side of the proposed rezone area is 12th Street on the west and 13th Street on the east. And so it's just the two corners, two parcels. So it's just one strip, one property line is the width of the rezone. We did look at the broader area for appropriateness of other similar types of properties that could be included. And this is really both of these kind of go together, as I'll describe, as far as the conformance and appropriateness. Let's see. And this is an aerial view, and so N Street is on the bottom, and then you can see 12th on the west or the left, and 13th Street on the right or the east. And you can see that both properties are developed with large residences. The one on the right is the applicant's, that is the 806 13th Street, and we have a street view that you'll see. That's basically a historic home. I'm not sure of the exact year, but probably like the 1920s maybe, or maybe a little bit earlier. Really typical of that period. It's sort of a craftsman style. And then the one on the left, it was previously a historic home. It did partially burn and then was reconstructed. And so it is, it's in the R-16 zone, so it is, it's used for 4 multifamily units now, or it was as well before the fire. So it was rebuilt, basically the same footprint. It's non-conforming for the R-16 zone, but it also, similar to the one on the right, it's sort of appropriate for a structure of that size. to be, utilized for multifamily, just, and as I'll describe that further when we get to the street view. You'll be able to see how these structures really are a good transition between the commercial mixed use and of the downtown zone and the single-family zone to the north. So there's a table in your packet that basically just compares or describes the details of both parcels. They're very similar in nature. They're both 6,600 square feet for the parcel size. There would be no change in the activity for 809 12th Street. So there won't be any modifications to that structure. There's no change, no internal or exterior changes. So that's really just a rezone to bring it into conformance and to recognize that use. And then the one on the right, again, would be converted to 4 units. So the map amendments would change the principal land use activity from single-family to multifamily. That would be, basically the bottom line. And then really no change in activity overall, except for the conversion of that single-family residence on the right to the 4 units. The 806, the 12th Street property, no, I'm sorry, keeping track of these two. The 13th Street property was most recently used for single-family. Prior to that, for, a few decades, it was used as a care home. So, that's basically a multifamily type of use, a little bit different, but it has had different activities, over the decades. Let's see. So this is the zoning map, and this gives you the context. It shows you that the downtown retail commercial zoning district is to the south. That's the RC, and then just basically a straight line above that, R16. There is N Street, so it's located on N Street, and there is that's really like a transition street, and there are quite a few different types of activities on N Street, including there's some other multifamily that's really similar to this one. Directly across the street, there's a church on the lower right, and then on the lower left, there's a insurance office. That building does actually have a residence in the back of the building. So when that was remodeled by Don Brown about 15 years ago, I'm not sure if it was there before, but he did, I think he got a use permit to also convert part of that to a single family. So there's mixed use, directly across the street. And then there's multifamily and commercial along that whole strip. So that's really typical of, this type of historic area. So downtowns typically have, they're zoned for a mix of office and retail and similar types of uses. Usually on the bottom floor, and then typically there will be apartments and residential on the upper floors. And then again, like these craftsman style homes that are really large, it's really common to have those converted to apartments like this. And, they make good transitions because they resemble single family in their structure and their appearance, their architecture. And because they're not, really dense, they're, in this case, 4 units each, it's definitely a transition type of an activity. Okay. This is overall like an aerial site plan showing really just the details of the site itself. There aren't any proposed exterior changes except for, some, probably painting, and the applicant can describe what his intentions are specifically. And this is if you had a chance to look at it in more detail in your packet, this shows the proposed remodel. This is the first floor plan. So you'd have 2 units on the bottom floor. It shows the bedroom, kitchen, and living room layout and the entries. And then the upper floor is similar. And then this shows the street view. The top view, 809 12th Street, basically craftsman style. You see a lot of similar features with the 806 13th Street on the bottom, and you can see that they're quite large. They, fill up the properties pretty well, and again, they're craftsman style that, kind of enhances, it matches and enhances the, it sticks with the historic nature of the downtown area. And again, it has the appearance of a medium-sized single-family unit house, but it provides, affordable housing that is attractive for people who, are either, like single-member family occupying the units, or, maybe older people without kids, or small families that, are interested in this kind of living in a walkable downtown area. So to take advantage of, the shops and services, there's a bus stop just across the street to the west. There's a park 3 blocks away, the library, restaurants, a market, really just a lot of amenities and a lot of, attractive activities for people who are interested in a walkable community, a vibrant walkable community. So, there's definitely a group, or, there's an interest in this kind of alternative, residential living. Not everyone, especially these days with affordable housing, this provides, a category of affordable housing that is really hard, the trend, or it seems that the demand, or the perceived demand, is for single family, but of course, that's just really getting out of reach. And so, the city is looking for ways to create infill development and create affordable housing. I don't think I have another slide. Let's see. So the one other thing that I wanted to discuss is parking. So there is some parking on site. There's a garage, and there are at least 2 parking spaces that would be constructed adjacent to that. And that kind of matches the carports on the other side. So they would be accessed by the alley. So in between the 2 buildings, there's an alley, and there would be on-site parking. And then because this is a corner lot, there's approximately, roughly like 5 to 6 spaces on N Street, and then up to 3 spaces on 13th Street. So, and comparing that to 809 12th Street, they've got 4 units, and typically, these photos were taken like around 3 in the afternoon, but it's really common, to see 4 cars parked on 12th Street, like, at nighttime when everybody's there. And it seems that, with the smaller households that typically would occupy these units, there's not as high of a parking demand. So the proposal is to have the 3 spaces off the alley, and then, with the ample parking availability on N and 13th, that would provide sufficient parking to serve the 4 spaces, or 4 units. And again, that would match with the walkability of the area. So there's not as much of a parking need. So that is all I have for now, and I can turn that back to you and answer any questions. And again, the applicant is here, so he can answer questions as well.
Anybody have any questions or comments for Liz?
I have a question. On the 12th Street property with the carport on the alley, I go by there quite often, and I can't say today, but in the past, that carport's been full of stuff.
Yeah, it seems like it's more storage than parking.
If you're gonna,
Yeah.
you gotta come up to the,
Yeah. And if you come up to the mic, please introduce yourself with your full name.
My name's Tyler Franklin, and I would
I
be
don't think the mic is on. Are we on camera?
Check.
There you go.
My name's Tyler Franklin, and I would be the 806 13th Street property. But yeah, like you said, the neighboring property seems like the parking is more just storage, and that's not what I would intend to do with my place. But Liz did a really good job of summing everything up.
So you don't own the 12th Street property?
No, I own the 13th Street property.
All right, well, thank you, then.
Yeah.
That's really not neat.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to come here and show my face and put a face to my name, but Liz did a really good job of explaining everything that I was going to say. But yeah, to me, it just makes total sense to have a fourplex there. There's one right next door, and it's right downtown, and to me, there's plenty of room for parking, and yeah, I just wanted to come introduce myself.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Liz, so we're really only approving the change of the rating for the residential rating. We're not really approving the floor plan or anything tonight, correct?
Right. Yeah, so for the residential multifamily rezone, if and when, if that's rezoned, multifamily up to 5 units becomes principally permitted. So, we wanted to, disclose the intention, and then Tyler is the applicant for the rezone. The city brought in the 12th Street property because it just made sense. So we're taking the opportunity to kind of look at the slightly bigger area.
so this is why you brought all that to us before?
No, it was just a timely thing, but yeah.
It's just a timely thing?
No, I think it helped. I mean, it's information that's pertinent to things that you guys,
Okay, so I got a question, and nothing against you. Is if they were to tear these buildings down and put up apartments, would we be asking them to put in real parking, not on the street? Like we've done everybody else?
I mean, it depends. We would encourage them to, certainly, if that's the standard.
Hasn't it been the
I
standard?
mean, this is a conversion. This is
I get
not
it.
a new construction.
It's a conversion, but it's still, it's multifamily, it's still going back to what we've
mean-
done to everybody else, is saying that you have so many spaces, you have so many people living there, you have to
Yeah.
have so many spaces. Is that,
Well, your point is taken that the zoning standard has a certain number of on-site parking requirements. There's some exceptions that, that exist in the code. So for existing uses like this, if it can be seen that there is less of a demand or less of an impact, there is a section that we don't usually utilize except in conversions, typically conversions in the downtown area, and those are things that you guys don't always see. Actually, we usually use it for commercial conversions, change of businesses in the downtown zone that don't have parking. They might have a higher demand, but, so that, we're not going to ask them to tear down a downtown building. The intent is to support businesses and, hopefully support multifamily affordable housing. So that's really staff's,
so as long as it fits the agenda?
I mean, we look at all the criteria, we look at all the factors.
I'm just trying to be fair to everybody else we've done this to. And everything for
Well,
as
we
long as I've
haven't-
been here, I haven't done this.
We
I
haven't.
have not done this, but everybody else that came to us with apartments or businesses or what have you, we've gone through the parking on site for so much, not just the parking, but,
I mean, I think we're taking it on a case-by-case basis.
what's that?
I think we're taking it on a case-by-case basis. I think
I
this
get
is
it, but
different
it's not, I
than,
don't think it's fair to do it on a case-by-case basis. We're going to do it, it should be a standard that we set. That's what we're here for.
yeah, no, I understand.
I have a question. In the packet, it says on page 7, the residents at 809 12th Street, and you said this, but when I read through it, I didn't totally understand this, so I think it's clear now. The residents at 809 12th Street contains 4 living units which are allowed as a non-conforming use. So the 809, which is not, it's already being used in
Right.
this way, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
It just needs
It
to
was
be
also
needs to be
rebuilt from the
rezoned.
burn
Yeah.
without a
Yeah.
permit, too.
No, they had a permit. Without a permit?
Am I right?
Oh, no, they had a remodel permit.
It never came before the commission.
Because it's in the R16 zone. So it doesn't,
But that would change once we change the
Yeah.
zone. So if that happened again, it would
Yes.
come before us.
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, it's forward under, so it wouldn't need a use permit.
Design review. Right, that would have been just for design review, not for the use.
Is there any other questions for Liz and staff or for Mr. Franklin while he's here? I guess I need to open up for comments from the public at this time. So, Mr. Franklin, if you have anything else you would like to add, this would be the time to do it.
Not too much, but I think there are like more options. I don't know how many off-street parking spots you guys would demand for a fourplex, but if I took down the garage or like that whole patio, I feel like I can convert at least 4 off-street parking spots there. And then there's 105 feet down the front of it and like 60 feet down the side of parking. So I think you could park at least 8 cars on the street.
Yeah, it's not, that's the whole question about being on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I could comfortably get 4 cars of off-street parking.
Well, right now, that's not the issue for it to be approved, but as a businessman, I would recommend you do that because it's nice to have your car parked off-street just because of vandalism issues that happen throughout the community. Something for you to think about down the road. And that would then come before us as well, I believe is right for design review.
Yes.
So you'd be coming back before us if you decide to do that again at a later date or whatever. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the public? If not, I will entertain a motion to close the public comments.
I'll make a motion to close public comment.
Second.
I don't think we need a vote on that, do we? We can just move forward. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Liz. It was a great report. Our second item on the agenda is, actually, our next item on the agenda is the review of the 2021 Annual Housing Progress Report, correct?
Don't we need to make?
Do we need to take
Oh,
action
no, we
on
need to
that
make the
item
motion
now?
for the approval. You're right, my
adopt the
bad.
resolution?
So I'll entertain a motion for that. Thank you, everyone, for keeping me on task.
It's okay. You're doing great.
Yep, I entertain a motion then.
Well, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2022-3084. Do I need to read the whole thing? Resolution P-2022-3084, a recommendation to the City Council to amend the Fortuna zoning map residential single-family R16 to residential multifamily RM, and the general plan land use designation from residential low to residential medium for parcels AP 040-043-021, 809 12th Street, and APN 4000043-016, 806 13th Street.
Second.
All right,
Katie?
roll call vote. Commissioner Blakely,
Yes.
Chairman Bradley,
Yes.
Commissioner Kine,
Yes.
Commissioner Mobley,
No.
and Vice Chair Sights.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin. Appreciate you coming out tonight. Yeah, you can stick around if you want, but
It's gonna get real boring from here on.
Yeah, thanks, Tyler. And as we discussed, so this is a recommendation, and so this will go to the city council on May 2nd for the final vote, for the first reading of the ultimate decision. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
I guess now we'll look at the review for the 2021 Annual Housing Progress Report, and I'm assuming that's going to be turned over to you again, Liz.
Yes. Yeah, so the city participates in California Government Code section that requires that every city and county have a housing element, and the city does have an adopted housing element. And those are administered by the California Department of Housing and Community Development, or HCD. And another sort of parallel requirement is that the city submit a annual progress report on housing production. So this kind of ties into, you know, the HCD's overall interest in improving housing affordability and housing availability, and then they use the progress report to, you know, kind of track, and, you know, it's what enables them to, calculate the number of units that have been constructed. And it also provides them with information on what's called the Regional Housing Needs Allocation, and that is the number that is allocated to, a housing unit number, to all the counties in the state, and then those get or sub-allocated to the local jurisdictions. And so the city, the housing allocation isn't actually a production number, it's really an availability number. So a certain number of lots divided up by income category from, you know, high, medium, low, very low, that the city makes those certain number of units or lots available for construction. So all that information is in in this progress report. The report shows the number and type of building permits that are issued, and also the status of the housing element policies and programs that are in our housing element. So if you've had a chance to look at it, it's broken, you know, your staff report kind of summarizes the tables. It's kind of a unwieldy, you know, long, multiple Excel spreadsheets. You know, it's kind of small numbers, kind of hard to read, but I did pull out the information, the basic information. Tables A and A2 list the development applications that have been submitted and deemed complete, which may or may not be approved. So it breaks them down by either, you know, units that have not had building permits submitted, but the entitlement, say through a subdivision or other type of approval by the planning commission. So subdivision, you know, say with 20 lots, it's been approved. So those units, the units count in this report, but the building permits haven't been submitted or approved yet. So it kind of breaks it up into those two categories. So a total of 62 residential applications were submitted, and that includes both the entitlements and the building permits. So last year, 62, you know, basically opportunities for construction were approved through either subdivisions or building permits. Building permits were issued for a total of 43 units, and breaking those down, 35 of those were single family and 8 were multifamily. Of those, 15 were above moderate income units, 20 were moderate, and 8 were low income units. Those 8 low income units are, they just broke ground. They're on Smith Lane, right in front of the Lutheran Church, if you're interested. And those are being deemed, you know, going to be offered as affordable to low income categories by the owners, the Lutheran Church. So it's not a restriction that the city was involved in. And there were no applications submitted for very low-income categories in last year. And then Table B reports the city's progress towards meeting the Regional Housing Needs Allocation, or the RHNA. And actually, I just described the breakdown of the income categories for those 43 units. And then the remaining tables don't apply to Fortuna. Table C would be the sites that were rezoned in order to meet the city's shortfall. So some cities don't have enough land available for, say, low income, and HCD does now, the state does now require that sites be rezoned in order to meet that shortfall. Table D is the housing element programs implementation status. So that table lists all of our housing element programs and then the status or where we're at on each of those. So in a lot of those, no activity has been undertaken. The main activity would be in the implementation of our SB2 grant, which does provide funding for a number of activities, and those are all kind of still in the planning stage, but actually one of those is the accessory dwelling unit ordinance that was adopted last year. And then the rest of those are units that have been rehabilitated or preserved, which we haven't had any of those, and then land inventory that doesn't apply to Fortuna's. So this gets passed on. It's going to go to the city council really just for acknowledgement and then direction to submit it to HCD. So the state does require that this get reviewed, presented to the planning commission and the council for acknowledgement. So it's really informational for the planning commission purposes. And did you have any questions?
I have one. This one I'm just trying to refresh my memory on. On the A2, the second page, the one that pops out to me is Campbell, and on the address it says TBD. And another one for Newburgh Court says TBD, but the Campbell one stands out because it was for 5 units, it looks like. Can you refresh my memory? What was that one for?
That is a subdivision that was approved
Well, okay.
early so it would have been
Yeah,
early
it was
last
last year. I'm just trying to remember what, it was a subdivision, but I didn't
Yeah.
remember it was under Campbell. I thought it
It's
was
in
under.
it's in the Lawndale area. It's in that big field that you can see to the north.
Yeah, didn't we approve one house though with the 5 units, right? The other were to be decided?
That one house is on a separate parcel, not part of the Campbell
Right.
subdivision.
But
But-
it was something about the water quality, that,
Or the retention of water or something?
There's wetlands in that area.
Yeah.
They had to do a wetland study and design their subdivision around that wetland.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought, but I just could not remember,
Yep.
so. And then the other question I had was on the, it's just more of a curiosity thing for me. Under the housing progress report where everything's mapped out here, the second item talks about the city has not yet developed a first-time homebuyer program, but is in discussions with outside agency to determine the feasibility. Is there, in the feasibility study, is there going to be an outline as to what is considered or deemed to be a first-time homebuyer? Because in some locations, a first-time homebuyer is somebody that may have owned a home and then like after 5 years didn't own a home, and so they're like starting afresh. Is that going to be spelled out in that program as well?
It would be. So, we haven't gotten to that point, but really, affordability and, yeah, it would be, a time period where, there hasn't been home ownership. Typically it would be not having owned a home. And then, there's requirements for, percentage of their income going towards, that's the difficult part is.
Right, that's why I was going
Being
with that
able,
question.
especially with the increase in the home prices, so.
Yeah, because with the allocation, like we're talking about low and so forth and moderate, I didn't know where that feasibility study comes in based on those different levels.
In general, with the first-time homebuyers programs, the jurisdiction will partner with a lender, and the lender will have their own criteria And they kind of mesh together. The jurisdiction provides the funding, and then the lender will service the loan with the
Right,
grant funds. We've had an issue in Humboldt County with folks that can qualify for the program because they do still need to have substantial credit
Right.
and, you know, a decent income, getting folks to qualify that may qualify in one way, but then they don't qualify in another. So I know that Humboldt County of Humboldt and the city of Eureka both have programs, and they're not always able to administer the funds. So that's another
Yeah.
issue.
because I know that can sometimes tie in with state and federal grants that are also available for those first-time home buyers that tie in with that as well. And that's why I was asking, the whole word feasibility is so broad and vague at the same time. And I know we're talking about trying to bring in more housing and affordability and everything, and to me, that's one I think would be a substantial boost for us in our economy here as well.
Yeah, especially to support homeownership, you know, the
Exactly.
lower income.
Which is what we're trying to encourage, right?
So where are we at with that overall right now? Is it just something that we're working and planning toward? And which staff people are working on that, a first-time home buyers
I mean,
thing?
really, we've made contact with partners, but it's hard to keep something like that moving with other things that, we're administering the SB2 grant, something might stall it out, and then we might get approached again, and, it's finding, available land. Is it going to be working with, an outside developer who has, available land that they want to develop? The city does own a couple of single-family parcels in Campton Heights that would be suitable. And then, again, finding the lender or the partner who's able to, help us with the standards, with the criteria, and provide the appropriate level. So it's one of those that are, we've worked on it. It's on our wish list to finish it.
But there's other competing priorities, correct, for
Yes,
time and
yeah.
resources?
Yeah.
Is it something where the city itself is directly underwriting a certain grant, or is it going out there to get state or federal funds? Like, how does the thing actually get moving? Like, who's paying, to help get this going?
Yeah, I mean, that's another issue is to provide it, to offer it to a wide number of people. That's where we would need, a state or federal grant, because you're going to need a big chunk of money. We've kept it on the housing element list because the city owns those few properties, and because we have the old redevelopment funds, what are they called?
We have program income
Program income, thank
that
you.
we receive. We did do a first-time homebuyers program, gosh, like 20 years ago, and then some rehab loans as well with CDBG funds. And so we're still receiving program income from that. The problem with that is we actually have too much program income. So we are not eligible to apply for any new CDBG, HCD, HUD grants until that's spent down, which we just submitted a grant in February. We submitted an application to spend that down on the barrier removal, which I think we brought that before you guys a couple of years ago, the ADA barrier removal program. So we're just waiting to hear back from them to start that project, get those funds spent down, and then we'll be eligible to apply again.
Right, and so some of the program income, there's a small amount that could be used for first-time home buyer. So, that would fit in with a couple of parcels that we own, small amount of program income, versus applying for a grant, getting a partner for the development or for.
Why does that have to be a development?
What's that?
Why do we have to develop and do?
Not in development, but, not necessarily. Really, to be able to apply for a large grant.
What I mean is, do we have to build the house from scratch, or can we have existing
that-
housing that's out there, just get a loan, basically. to buy
Right,
that.
it could be either way. It could be either way. And we did have one developer who was interested. That kind of didn't, I don't know, it didn't move forward.
Does the price of the market right now make some of this somewhat difficult to move forward with
It
overall?
likely would not, anybody that would qualify for the program likely would not be able to purchase a home.
So they wouldn't qualify.
With the prices that they're at right now. Because it's not necessarily subsidized, often there's, it's a loan, so it does need to be paid back, usually it's on the back end.
Gotcha,
It's on the
gotcha.
back end, but to get folks to qualify for a $500,000 home or a $400,000 home, their income is going to disqualify them for the program. So
Well, there's the other problem too, is that if they get, say they get qualified for even a $300,000 home,
they don't exist.
and somebody's selling it for 300,000, the asking price, but everybody's bidding above that, and so they'll never get approved anyways, because they're beyond what's considered the estimate or value of the home.
And there's caveats on the quality of the home too, and the
Right.
condition, they need to be inspected, just like USDA loans, they need to be in a certain condition, so
Right.
anything that would sell for $300,000 in Humboldt County right now would likely
It'd
not
be slim
qualify.
pickings, yeah. And they'd have to be upgrades and all that stuff based on the age of the home, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, it's a big Pandora's box, I get that. But I was just curious to see, because I know we have, like you said, we're moving a lot of things around here with the priorities, and I was just wondering where that one was at in the shuffle.
Yeah,
So, thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Any other questions for Liz, or?
You opened your own Pandora's box, Mr. Chairman, with that one.
I know, but it's something I have a passion about.
Terrific,
For our
yeah.
community, and I just like to
Yep.
see our community continue to grow and thrive, and getting people here to do that and desire to do that is the key. So, anything else on that, Liz, that you want to add?
No,
So do we need to make a motion to send this to,
We need to
no,
make a
just
motion.
to accept.
yeah, we have
accept
to make a
the-
motion to accept your
Yep.
your presentation, I believe, right?
A motion
Yes.
to accept the annual housing report, progress report.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I think we need a roll call vote on
Yeah,
that,
we do.
correct?
Commissioner Blakely,
Yes,
Chairman Bradley,
Yes.
Commissioner Kind,
Yes.
Commissioner Mobley,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Sights.
Yes.
And next on our agenda, we have two more items under the Planning Commission staff communication. We have item number one, the 2021 building permit summary report. Did you kind of give some of that to us already, or is?
I did. Yeah, that was in the format of the housing annual progress report. And then we did include the annual summary because we realized that you probably didn't receive the year-end building department report. So these are just for building permits. And I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it. It's just kind of fun to look at the breakdown for the entire year of 2021. So there's it says on page 42 of the packet. It just lists all of the new commercial building permits. And it's kind of fun to look at the valuation. So for new structures, 1,225,000. And those are probably multifamily. Those go under, I know that no, they don't. They've got a category. Do you recall what the new commercial buildings? Probably, maybe Wentz Building on
Oh,
Rooneyville
yes.
Road
And then the senior center.
and the senior center. And then residential, single family, 18 units, 5 multifamily. The valuation of each of those units is just kind of interesting to look at. And then all of the other mechanical, electrical and plumbing and accessory structures and things like that. So I don't have anything else to add. If you have any questions, if you've looked that over, it's just really informational. All of the city departments provide a monthly report to the city council each month. It goes on their second agenda of the month. And then we like to just pass that on to the planning commission. So you can kind of see, if you ever look in the council's packet on the second Monday, which will be this next Monday, you can see all of the city departments and listing their activities. It's kind of fun to look at parks and Public Works and police. So, and, they all have a different format, they're not just a list of numbers. There's a lot of discourse and descriptions of what they're doing and what they're planning, upcoming activities. And this also, the purpose of this is to report to the council, and so we, always include the planning commission's activities as well, both in terms of projects that you have reviewed and the status of upcoming projects, that you will be reviewing. So it's a report to the council, and if you ever have any interest in passing on any information, that would be one avenue to do it.
Speaking of passing on to the council, are we going to be sending some kind of a report or progress, what we're doing on our, I'll call it our ad hoc?
Actually, I
meetings?
did not add that to the report, and I should have, so
Yeah, so
I can still add it. It hasn't gone to the council for next week.
that was one of the things I had a question.
Yeah.
I didn't know where to bring that up in the agenda, but I do think we should bring it up that we are
Yeah,
meeting and for what
I don't
reason,
think
so.
we added that. I'll add that in, and they'll pick that up. Thanks.
I think it's important they know we're doing something.
Absolutely.
Any questions? And then I'm assuming, under the community development, that was a part of what we were just looking at as well here, right?
Yes,
So,
combined.
well, we appreciate all your hard work, Liz and Katie.
Yes, very much.
Your
Thank
efforts
you.
are really greatly appreciated. It makes our
Thank
jobs
you.
that much easier. Is there any, do we have to make, this is just strictly an FYI, so there's no action we need to be taking on any of this, right?
Right.
Other than that, I don't see anything else on the agenda.
Next page. Well, no items, just in action.
Yeah. So, what you say, I'm sorry, what did you say? No action, you said?
Oh, no, right. No agenda items, just the action of adjourning.
Right.
I just didn't want you to miss that, because it's just one little.
No, I saw that. That's what I was
Word.
gonna lead to next, so.
If
there's-
we miss it, we'll be here all night.
That's right. So if there's nothing else on the agenda, folks,
Motion to adjourn.
I need it.
Second.
Katie?
All right.
Commissioner Blakely,
Yes.
Chairman Bradley,
Yes.
Commissioner Kine,
Yes.
Commissioner Mobley,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Sights.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you again, ladies. Your hard work is really appreciated.